Well, hello everybody. If you're watching us on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, this is like a get together we have every Thursday night. Just a few mates getting together to talk a bit of motorsport and other things. We call it Full Course Yellow. It's what we're doing when the show isn't on, and of course the show isn't on at the moment because the studio's all locked up and we can't do anything. Basically, we can't do anything at all at the moment. So and somewhere on the chain, I'm hearing back myself coming back way later than I should, and it's not from my mic because I've got that turned off. So I'm not sure who's got a speaker open at the moment, but there you go. I think it was Doc. But anyway, we'll get together. So how is everybody? I suppose we'll start with Pete because let's start with Formula One. I titled this edition "I'll Just Drive Fast" because I think we saw on the weekend exactly sort of the difference as to why Daniel Ricciardo is so popular and why Lewis Hamilton is possibly less than popular. So Pete, yeah, what did you think of it? It was a real contrast, wasn't it? One of them
Yes.
one of them went absolutely berserk, and the other one went, yeah, no worries, mate, I'll just go faster.
Um, and Lewis Hamilton claimed that he'd done that before. Well, I've watched a few of his practice starts, quite a few of them, and I've never seen him do something like that. He's always practice started where the others have. Um, but I think too his team has a bit to answer for because he actually asked them. He said, "There's a lot of rubber where they're all practice starting. Can I go further up?" And his team said yes, but make sure you don't block other cars. So I actually think his team has a bit to answer for that. Um, and it's interesting, going back to uh, where qualifying, where uh, uh, the red flag was brought out by Sebastian Vettel. The light for the flag was on the same side that um, where the pit lane closure light was, and he instantaneously slowed down. And again, I think um, for that incident at Mugello or Monza, I think it was, um, his team has a bit to answer for that as well because they, um, sure, Antonio Giovinazza went into the pits when the pit lane was closed, but they were the only two teams that did it. So I think his team has a bit to answer for as well.
I just think it's a shame because I mean, obviously, like Lewis is such a good driver, but he's become such a divisive character. And I mean, and yeah, there is. I mean, whether people like to admit it or not, there's clearly a lot of sort of race. There is a lot of racism behind it. I mean, you can see it in all the comments. I'm not a racist, but. Is the most common refrain for where Lewis is involved, but you can see at the same time. I mean, it is some of his stuff is becoming a bit tiresome now. I mean, like I understand that I understand the Breonna Taylor thing. And if you know anything about that particular story, it's a horrible story. You can see why people should be very upset about it. But he's become the real sort of Citizen Smith at the moment. He's really getting behind and trying to make it. And the FIA do have very specific regulations regarding getting too involved with political stuff, which actually came up here in Australia many years ago, back in the 1970s, because Alan Moffat for a while during one of the election campaigns ran Liberal Party stickers on his car and was told at Sandown that you get rid of those now, or you don't go out onto the track again because they had specific rules to say there was to be no political advertising allowed under the CAMS rules. I think that's the same with the FIA. So they've basically told him that okay, next time you go out there, the t-shirts have got to stop.
Yeah.
Uh,
Makes perfect sense
so,
when you think about it.
Yeah, the sport should be above and beyond and neutral to any of those sorts of issues.
it's because
Yeah,
it's
you,
interesting
you
because
would hope. Sorry, Chris, you want to say something?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Yeah, the Yeah, I think that's I can understand, like him being very upset about it. There's reasons to be upset, but he's made his statements now, and by all means continue the fight outside of them. But to actually go onto the podium or to go to official FIA press conferences and all that, wearing that, no, you can't have that. I mean, he's got a job to do. He's doing a job, and I imagine Mercedes wouldn't be particularly keen on. There'd be some people in Mercedes wouldn't be particularly keen on him running around and using, while he's on their dime, making all these political comments. When he's not at the track, when he's out, he, go for it. Yeah, because I agree. Most of the stuff he's saying, I certainly agree with, and good luck to you. But not at the track. But I just like the difference between in terms of like when he got the penalty, it was they're trying to stop me from winning, and this is our road. Where did this out? Who do we talk to? And Daniel just went, yeah,
Oh well.
Yeah.
I did it.
I did it.
drive faster.
Yeah, I'll just drive faster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that whole race was more a race won by who didn't make mistakes. It was like just a chain of unforced errors.
I think there's going to be a lot of that. I think that's why Bathurst is going to be is going to be a bit interesting, because I think a lot of people are going to because so many people have been away from the workshop for so long and away. I think you can see that with the supercars and of course with Formula One, that there are things that are starting to fail, and there are stresses on drivers and mechanics and all the people involved that it's like let's just get this over and done with. So I think for Bathurst, I think we'll see a sort of a much higher rate of attrition than we've seen in the past.
It's going to be a more traditional Bathurst, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and that will make it all the more entertaining, because that's been
Yeah.
the problem. I mean, it's basically sort of 20, 24, 26 cars start, 26 cars finish, or 25 cars or whatever. It'd be good to see, especially a couple of the bigger teams, and it might just open it up for sort of an outsider to get up. It might be one of those years where sort of a Chaz Mostert or a Jack LeBrock or Anton Di Pasquale or somebody like that could possibly get up and win the bloody thing, because I mean, Scott, the champion. The good thing is the championship is over.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so it's like the old days. They don't have to worry, because if they'd have gone in on, under the circumstances, Scotty McLaughlin and DJR might have just said, look, we've got to protect the championship. The main thing is we finish. If we can't, we've just got to finish ahead of Jamie, or finish, no worse than third or fourth or something. So let's not do anything silly. Now they've all got a chance to say, no, it's everything. Everything is on the line now. We can, and I think Scott will definitely want to win, because of the fact that probably this might be his last opportunity for a while.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's so that was the weekend, and we're getting some motor racing back locally too in Melbourne. Pyark announced today they're going to try and go ahead with basically a whole month of motorsport, starting off with what they're now calling the 2020 Access, which is the delayed August Access meeting, and going through to Island Magic. So if we're allowed to travel, we might actually have 4 weeks in a row down at Phillip Island.
I'll just put this out there for anyone from Pyark who happens to be watching: is we can do streaming.
Yes, we can. We can, Pyark. Yes, if anybody
we
from
can do
Pyark,
a very professional quality stream.
Yes, we can. We can certainly do that for you. And if you tell us, the budget, we can. We'll be able to come up with something. I'm sure we can come up with something. We just want to get out and tell we can't afford to put our hand in our pocket ourselves too much, but we've got the gear. Everything's sort of waiting, and we'd like to drag it out and plug it in and get it working again. So if anybody from Pyark is watching, or from anywhere in Victoria, if you want your events live streamed, give us a call here at In Pit Lane, and we'll certainly have a word with you, because we've got all the gear and we can do that. We're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed, that the borders to South Australia will open soon, and we'll be able to get over to Adelaide and get some drag racing going because that was
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that was the plan for the Andra Grand Finals, which were going to be held in October. That's probably not going to happen now, but perhaps that might be the thing. I mean, we'll have to find out what date that they're running. They're planning to run the drags because that'll be our priority because we've got the deal is signed with them in advance, so we'll be
Yep.
whatever.
Looking forward to working with the team again. They're all lots of lovely professional people, and they run a good event. They just need the opportunity to prove that to everyone, and if that comes forward, it'll look quite nice. I'm quite sure we could do a broadcast quality stream for drag racing, and a little bit better than I've seen from some of the streams around the country where it's just some bloke holding a phone. So
yeah, well, I said you that. I mean, and that's not the worst of them either. I mean, there's been, in fact, there was one that I was looking at the other day. Someone sent me a link to a live stream from Italy, and it was a circuit meeting, and it literally was a guy standing on the roof of race control with his iPhone, just going round and round in circles. Yeah, the camera's going, and in between each race, he's putting it down, and fatigo.
pro tip for anyone who is doing a stream from a phone: buy a gimbal.
Yes. Well, gimbal.
Absolutely.
A gimbal would be a good idea if you've got one. I was looking at one. Eric, we've got a comment from Eric saying go Ford. I don't know where Ford's going, but Ford have got it pretty much all to themselves anyway. I mean, in terms of, that's going to be the thing next year is what's going to happen next year in terms of what if anything replaces the Commodores, because they've already, I mean, certainly Walkinshaw Andretti United have said we don't want to be running the Commodores. I don't think anybody does because they're not getting any money out of it. It's not promoting a car that you can actually buy anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't.
GM coming back into Australia with some sort of pickup or Hummer or something? Maybe they can run one of those. Just drop it on its guts.
It was actually suggested at one stage. Somebody did say that because they were saying, well, obviously they're hoping to bring the Camaro in, but someone said, well, they're definitely bringing the Ute in, and I think it was somebody from Walkinshaw who said, well, if it's why can't we run a Ute?
Drive Corvette. Yeah, I believe the right-hand drive Corvette's been confirmed as well.
Yeah, the problem with that is
that's back again. You're talking about the Super guys?
No, the Corvette.
No, the Toyota's been approached this week if they were going to join supercars, and they've
said no.
That
story is as old as my left nut. It's just
I know it's just popped up again.
Won't the Supra need a BMW badge on the front of it first?
Well,
because that's a BMW with a different badge.
But that's what they're arguing now at the moment. Is they're saying, well, because Toyota's apparently come out and said no, we're not interested. Which I can understand, but now people are saying, well, okay, it might not be Toyota coming in with this. It might be BMW coming in with their version of it, but I haven't heard anything from BMW, and I think it's
BMW are going to come into touring car racing. They'd come in with a body style that is more the traditional 4-door or 2-door coupe that BMW have done. They won't come in with a sports car.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that Toyota weren't allowed to, because it's not like against like. I mean, it's 2-door coupes or 4-door sedans running against a full-on sports car, and that's why they can't run the Corvette, because for a start, the new Corvette's mid-engine, so that would they'd have to do what Honda have done with the NSX in Super GT, is that they're now running a front-engined NSX in Super GT to get past the rules, and it's it's a bit silly.
I'll ask Doc because he's into the Fords and the Mustangs and what have you. Would the layout of a 3 Series 2-door, that'd almost be a pony car layout, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is. It wouldn't be far off, I don't think. But the thing is, the reason why, as I said, I brought up about the Super again, and Brett said it's older than both his nuts put together, is the fact that they're talking everyone's debating again about the Generation 3 car, which is going to be Oh, the final touches apparently been put to it. Of course, it's all but top secret, of course, for 2022. So not next year. They're obviously running the current spec generation car, the car of the future style car that originated years ago. But of course, they reckon the Supra would be would have been being a two-door would have been a great fit for it. So I mean, as you said though, Stuart, that any sort of two-door coupe without going as far as a hypercar, Brett meant by anything it could be, I don't know, it could be a Hyundai by then. It could be a Kia. It could be Kia Stinger. There's another one. There's another one out there that you could probably throw into the mix as far as the body shape that you could layer over the top of the same chassis they're all using anyway.
That is one of
King
the
of Steer wouldn't be a bad choice either because it's proven
There
to
was
be
a
a bit of a
conspiracy
muscle car.
theory running from Taylor Bend because I think it was one of the Walkinshaw cars had a Kia dealership sponsorship on it, and they were wondering whether they'd been in talks with Kia.
Well, there's a controversial subject because did you see that they've got their own little showroom started up over there at the Bend? They've opened up this week. Did you happen to see the name of the car dealership or showroom? What it's called?
No.
I'm going to have to apply some Google foo and check this out because I'm betting
Oh,
this is
yeah.
going to be hilarious.
Hold
While
the
we're
fort.
doing that,
Put you there. No, I'm going to announce big announcement. Pit Lane Garage.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few of those. There's a few of those around. It's the same with podcasts at the moment. The official podcast of the Australian Grand Prix Corporation is In the Fast Lane, and the official podcast for the World GT Challenge is The Pit Lane. There's a few pit lanes around. I don't know.
Don't you own Pit Lane Garage, Brett?
No, we don't own Pit Lane Garage. There's been a few that are close. There was one where we did sort of raise it because it was somebody who had a cafe and they called it In Pit Lane Cafe, and they actually got in touch. Their lawyers got in touch with us. This was about 12, 15 years ago. They actually got in touch with 31 and then through us to say, this is what we want to call it, In Pit Lane Cafe. Is that a problem with you guys? And I went, well, no, not if you want to sling us a little bit of money. We don't. And then they said, no, we'll change it. But I think they ended up calling it just Pit Lane Cafe, and it was like, well, yeah, if we took it to court, or if we did, we would probably, same with a lot of these podcasts. It's like, you would possibly have a case, but we don't have the money to be going out and getting all of those people and all that sort of bullshit. So,
when you get your commission from, because their first car they're advertising to sell over there is the Senna GTR. It's only 24 produced. 3 are in the Southern Hemisphere. So when you get your stake in that one, Brett, it's your shout for beers at the pub, please.
Yeah. Yes, it would be.
I'm just having a quick look at the website for that. So thebend.com.au pit-lane-garage, and I'm looking at it and thinking, gee, that looks like a familiar layout for the webpage. It looks a lot like the one that Glenn Ridge is doing for Q Media and Shannon's, their online one. Was it Garage 41 or something, or Garage?
Yeah.
Yeah, the webpage looks almost identical, even in the colour schemes.
Might have been the same designer.
Yeah, I think there's
maybe the same template from Wix or something.
So, yeah, that's. I actually saw that someone sent me a link to and said, "Oh, this is you've got a bit of competition. There's this new podcast coming up, and have a look at their website. They're really these people are well known and all." And you had a look at the website, and apart from the fact that the website was really, really, really bad and was done from a template on Wix, virtually every second word was misspelt.
No.
Oh, nasty.
It's like, I mean, we're
So
not in the.
what
we're
you're
not
saying
in
is they had
business.
the same sort of level of quality control as Nat Geo does since the Fox Media buyout, where the first thing they did was sack all the researchers and fact checkers.
Correct.
Yeah, same with Nine Media and The Age. I mean, they sacked all of the proofreaders, and you have a look at some of the stuff that goes on the Age website, and you're going, oh my God, how could they not have seen that? There's been some absolute shockers. There's been a lot of them have popped up on Media Watch, but I mean, they don't want to pay. They just don't want to pay for people. They tell the journalists, this is a problem for the journos. They're saying to the journos, you're on 24 hours a day. There's no deadlines anymore. Every second of the day is a deadline. We've got to be first. We've got to be fast, but you've got to be accurate as well. Something's got to give at some stage. If it's like, I want that up and I want it up now, you don't have time to go through every word and find out that you've spelt there wrong, or you run a quick spell check through it, and if it doesn't pick up the obvious, it'll pick up only the obvious stuff. It's not necessarily going to pick up all of the stuff that's out of context or or bad grammar, that sort of thing. So that's, you just see that everywhere now, and I think it's getting to the stage now where people are just accepting it. They're just going, that's okay, it's misspelt and it's poorly. So there was
well, they need to apply NASA's credo: right? Fast, cheap, or good. Pick two.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's how true is that? I mean, it is very, you can have it fast, you can have it cheap, or you can have it cheap and you can have it. You might be able to have it good, but it won't be fast. Something's got to give. But anyway,
I have a question on the fast topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I happened to catch a bit of a snippet of I think it's NASCAR Indianapolis in next year in March. It's 50 years since they've run on dirt.
Oh, yes, at Bristol.
They're going to go on that. Yeah, Bristol. Yeah. I don't think. Well, I can't say. Most of us weren't around really enough to know 1970 that much to pay much attention, because there wasn't much media coverage of Indianapolis back in 1970, let alone footage. Here. How fast do you reckon is the difference in times they're going to run?
Oh, they'll go. I haven't seen the track that they're using. I mean, they were using, was it Eldora? They were using one of the speedways, and the trucks have been running on dirt for one round on dirt for a couple of years now, and that's just been hugely popular. So, and obviously, I mean, NASCAR attendances and NASCAR ratings are going down, so they're looking for any gimmick that they can use to try and drag people back. So there'll be more road races next year. I think it's 6 road races. Plus, they're going to have the get on the clay again, which they haven't been, as you say, for years and years. So, yeah, I think that'll be fun. I mean, I'll certainly be watching it. I mean, I don't watch every round of NASCAR, but
okay, so it's just NASCAR going on dirt, not IndyCar.
Yes.
Just NASCAR.
They are going to be both at the event at the same time. I think they've got a double header in Texas, Fort Worth as well in May. So they're going to put some double headers on it. As Brett said, probably just they're trying to any gimmick to get people interested in maybe cross promotion even.
Yeah, well, Indianapolis they're going to run the IndyCar road event at Indianapolis and the NASCARs, and they're going to make it like a speed week. A speed week thing, which I think is a good idea. That's what I think they should do, because if you notice over the past year or so, what they've done is the supercars will run at, say, Sandown one week, and then the following week it'll be once again at Sandown will be, say, the Shannon's Nationals. And I think they should, now that they're going to be on the same television network, I think they should try and somehow, marry them together and make a week event of it. And there are things they can do that they could tie in for and really make it a big sort of mini festival of motorsport. I'm sure they won't. I'm sure they're not, because they're not that good at promoting anything. So
there's rivalries between the two categories.
Well, they're going to have to be careful now in terms of the rivalry, because they're both on Channel 7 now. And the problem that supercars have got, because supercars are only going to have 6 rounds, like supercars have already said, we're going to have to work with Channel 7 in terms of the calendar, because 7 have got all their commitments to football, to the Olympics next year. If the Olympics go ahead, remember that was postponed from this year, so that'll be on some stage. They're hoping that'll be on some stage next year.
Horse racing.
Horse race. Well, so they lost. They lost 10 picked up. Well, but I think they've got.
They're still doing it.
Yeah, they've still got the Cox Plate and that, the Moonee Valley
Everest or
stuff.
whatever it's called, and the Everest
Yep.
or whatever it's called.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So they've got some horse. So they're going to have to juggle things about, and they might even be finding themselves having to play a bit of second fiddle to the Australian Racers Group because because all of the Australian Racer Group rounds will be on Channel 7. So there'll be sort of six rounds of the supercars, but all of the rounds of TCR S5000. T8 and TA2 will be on Channel 7 and live. So I think they've got a really good deal. I think.
Bit of news about the TCR during the week as well too. Now you mentioned it, Brett. I'll tell you what, hasn't Hyundai bloody gone leaps and bounds the last few years?
They're
got
three
the Elantra,
really nice
Elantra
cars.
I actually saw some of the shots of the Elantra N. Never been a Hyundai fan, but and of course it's proven success now. I mean, they've won the world touring car championship like that with the Hyundai Cup. What's it? 2018. I think they won the last one as well too. But geez, yeah, they've got the Veloster, the i30, but now the new Elantra. That doesn't look too bad not too sharp on the eyes, is it?
Well, it looks good if you have a look at it. If you sort of squint a bit, you can sort of almost see that as a Generation 3. They're probably a bit short in the wheelbase, but it looks really good. The Veloster looks fantastic. If you go online, they race the Veloster in America in the IMSA series. You have a look at the Veloster TCR, and it looks wicked. It's a really good looking car. They've also got the all electric version. Whether this actually happens, this all electric version of the World Touring Car Championship, but the electric version, we've run a couple of stories on the show, I think late last year, where we had footage of them testing it, and it looks fantastic. It is an absolute beast of a thing.
Circling back around to that, the Elantra and the Kia both have got that same sort of layout, and I believe there's a Maserati with a similar layout as well. As in, it's like the big four-door hatchback, and that's what people are buying, so maybe that'd be more inclined to be more popular if they were raced, especially if they're rear-wheel drive. I mean, if GM and Ford aren't going to bring large rear-wheel drives into the country, people will buy other cars.
Yeah, I think so. That'll be, and they'll want to promote it now because if there's still probably a market out there, especially in fleet markets of people. I mean, most people are still going to want. Yeah, a lot of people still want the small SUV and all of this, and as we've seen ourselves, I mean that small SUV factor, or that van factor is it can come in very handy. I mean, if I had the money, my next car would probably be a small SUV, just simply because it's easy for me to get in and out of, and I can whack tons of gear into it.
The thing
Not
with
the Ferrari
SUV,
no.
the thing with the small SUV factor is it really lends itself well to stadium trucks.
Yeah, I see they had the new somebody brought out the new Super Utes because remember, Super Utes became a disaster with running, but they've changed the rules and they're putting in 6-litre, I think it's LS1 engines into the super trucks. Be cheap. Now, yeah, so it's cheaper, more powerful, and somebody took it out for the first time at the New South Wales State Series at Sydney Motorsport Park on the weekend. I think they had a few minor troubles here and there, but they'll be a lot more popular car because they'll go faster, they'll sound better, they won't be belching black smoke all over the place. And they might take off. They might take off again because everybody looked at them. That second generation once they went away from the Falcons and the Commodores and went, God, those things are crap. But
did you
with a great big Chev engine in them, they'll they could be fun.
Did you see anything from the Beijing Motor Show, Brett? I haven't caught up anything at all yet, except for the Mustang. What they call it, the progressive energy in strength or something. Did you see anything else from the motor show in Beijing?
No, I haven't. I haven't really had because the show's not. Because the show's not on at the moment. I've got I got all the details of various news packages that we could have run on the show and all that. But to be honest, it's like I'm really just taking a break at the moment. I could be putting. Someone said you could put up more stuff. You could do a few more interviews and throw it up on the YouTube channel. But it's like. Nah, this is enough. I mean, You know, I don't need to make any more work for myself right now. I've got enough to do.
Well, as you said back at the start of the show tonight, there's the three meetings down in the P Arc down Phillip Island, which are hopefully only a hop, skip, and a jump for us. But they've said the first meeting on the 7th and 8th is going to be closed to the public. Will we be able to get access at In-Pit Lane? Even just a couple
Well,
of us?
that's what we've got to find out. There's a few issues for media in general. There's a few issues coming up that might have, even without the virus, that might have made life difficult for us, because the insurance companies are really cracking down big time on who they let in, and CAMS sort of sent out a thing, or Motorsport Australia sent out a thing, and certainly I've got stuff from AASA as well. See, AASA is saying you and your crew will, if you want to do stuff here, you and your crew will have to get what they're calling their media passport, and that's I think they're only charging about 90. See, CAMS are charging like $300.
Yeah.
And so that's just not on. I mean, over the course of a year, we might have 15 or 20 different people. You imagine if I've got to go out and I've got to get one for me, for Stuart, for you, for Richard, for Priesty, and for Shane,
Yep.
Sarah, anybody that we take along, we've got to stump up. They might only come to one meeting.
Yeah.
But we've got to come up and we've got to stump up and with some dollars of with a few $100s for them. Well, that's just not going to happen. We just don't have that money. So that could be a real sort of fly in the ointment, that we'd have to come to some agreement and say, hey guys, if you want us to come down, we're happy to come down, but you're going to have to cover that if there is a cost, and that cost. That cost could be $300 a person. So if we take 8 people along, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, arguably revenue raising at that cost.
Well, their argument is that it's all because they're trying to save money on insurance, and insurance is just cracking down big time. We've seen that at Sandown. That's why it's such a pain to film at Sandown now. Whether you want to film or do anything at bloody Sandown, right? It's an absolute pain in the arse, because all the places that we used to shoot from, you don't have access to anymore.
I could always take a drone along, and that gives us nice and safe and
Yeah.
see how well that goes.
Yeah, how do you get can you get the drone easy enough? Can you get that back into vMix okay?
It's a little bit of a challenge, because a lot of the smaller transmitters for drones are analog, so you've got to come into a screen that's got a HDMI out or the like, or an IP converter, and go in that way.
Right, yeah.
The DJI FPV goggles and what have you, if you get the extra controller, there's a HDMI out of that you can go into an IP thing. There are other ways as well, but they all involve spending money.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? It all involves people. When people say, "Oh, why do you need sponsors? Why do you need?" Because all this stuff. And even if we invent and we build things and jerry rig stuff ourselves, which we do quite regularly, it still costs money. I mean, it's okay to say, "Oh, wow, you did that for only $150, and it normally costs $1,000." Well, we have, but somebody's got to find that $150.
That's the size of the FPV transmitter. So that's a television transmitter.
Incredible, isn't it?
Multiple channels and whatever. The thing is, all of these for FPV racing are all analog, so people will then complain about any image that rolls or any static or breakup, like what you used to see on UHF, VHF, and analog TV. But the reason they stuck with analog for the guys who are doing the racing with the quadcopters, because it's small, because it's light, and because there's no delay. There's no holding of frames inside the HDMI system.
Speaking of delays a little bit, sorry, slightly off topic, but still on motorsport.
That's a good segue. I like that one.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Stuart. I'll give you. I owe you a coffee later. Formula 2. I didn't see it. Maybe it might be up your alley, Peter. Did you see the Formula 2 race abandoned between Luca Gotto and Jack Aitken smash on the weekend? Did you?
No, I didn't see it. Yeah, sorry. I didn't see it.
Brett, anyone?
Yeah, I saw the crash itself. I wasn't watching the race. Wasn't watching the race live. I mean, that's the thing now. There's so much motorsport on, and I remember at the time I was like, Formula 2's on, but there was the Nürburgring 24-hour was on as well. There was also, I think, Formula Nippon or Formula, what do they call it, Super Formula, happening from over. So there's just so much stuff on. I mean,
And the Renault racing I've been getting into as well too.
Renault, yeah. There's been a whole bunch of there's just so much stuff happening overseas, and so much has been streamed.
Well, let's have a look. So it's Formula 2, what was it, Russia?
Yeah.
Just Sochi, Stuart. I haven't seen it. That's a good question. While we've got you, you're the guru. You're the best at it. Now that you're on there, how much can you with Zoom meetings? Can you put a little screen inside your screen with something that you would want to play right now? And just got to be careful of that, of course, though, because we're on YouTube now, and we wouldn't want to get a copyright strike as well, though, too, would we? So.
Well, that's the problem. Anything at all that is on a Grand Prix weekend is totally off limits. Doesn't matter what it was. I mean, even the teams don't have it. Like when I was doing the interview with Alex Peroni, I contacted the Premier team and said, hey, can you get some footage or some stills for it? And they went, we don't even have stills ourselves. If you go to their website, they didn't have anything themselves. Now the thing is, if you notice, like for the last. For the round where Oscar Piastri won the championship, that there was a VNR that went out there, but once again, it's shown under fair use doctrine, so it's perfectly legal under Australian copyright law, but it is definitely still very much illegal on YouTube. So anything at all that we pop up on YouTube is going to be copyrighted like that, and it literally is in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, that's just a thought. So yeah. Did you have a look at it, Stuart? I
I'm
didn't
just
bring it
looking
up.
for it at the moment. I was just playing some stuff on the vMix computer, and of course the looking for where the video will play.
Alpha,
here we go.
Ferrari and Alpha were listening to us last week. Mick Schumacher is going to be in an Alpha on Friday practice at Germany.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll give there'll be a lot of interest there. I mean, a few new faces, and one of them's called Schumacher. That will gain a lot of interest, I think. And to be honest with you, I mean, I'll be certainly watching. I normally, I don't always watch free practice on, but I'll certainly be watching there to see both him and Schwartzman, and also. I think Aitken is actually one of the ones running, isn't he? Who's the third guy?
I think it is Aitken, but I'm not sure if they're going to do them at separate sessions.
Yeah, I'm not. I think that I think Schwartzman has actually had a run in one of the old cars today or something, because I just saw a thing before we hooked up. We're saying Schwartzman, like Formula One was, the Formula One experience is everything I thought it would be. So he's obviously jumped behind the wheel of something today, or their time. But
can you please explain your facial expressions, please, Stuart?
I'm watching the replay of the Formula 2 race 2 from Russia. Oh, hang on, that's 2019. I just realised I'm watching the wrong one. That's 2019. But the start of that race also was a mess, and it looked a lot like what we saw over the weekend, where it was really a whole heap of unforced errors that took drivers out of the race.
A lot of expletives from last weekend. A lot of expletives from last weekend. Did you catch the Mad Max George Russell incident?
No, I don't recall that one. Which one was that?
Mad Max called George Russell a FW because he couldn't get past him when he was not on a flying lap, but he was going through. But I'm on George's side with this one, because like a lot of the other people in the general public, how are you supposed to get out of the way when you're going through the like going through corners? It's like, give the guy a break.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I mean, it's like, you talk about, we talk about Lewis Hamilton and his attitude sometimes. Max Max is very similar, but then Max sort of follows after the old man as well, because Jos had a reputation for being a bit trigger happy
NFW?
and short fuse. So and I think Max is following on. And you've got people like, that's the one good thing. I mean, you've got people like Dan Ricciardo, but also now like George Russell and Lando Norris and a couple of others who, perhaps aren't taking it quite as, or aren't taking themselves as seriously as others.
Absolutely.
Because they're terrible people. I mean, they keep saying, I've seen a few times say, "Oh, we've got to get these, we've got to get Formula One popular in America," and they'll have the US Grand Prix, and they'll send somebody like Lewis or Max on to, one of the Tonight shows, and it's a disaster because the comedians are trying to sort of get something out of the drivers, and the drivers sitting there going, "Yeah. No, it's very serious. No, I'm doing what? No, I would not use it for drive-through. No."
But that's where you should just get Kimmy on, and that's going to be his standard response anyway. And then if you got something abnormal out of Kimmy, it'd make headlines. So
anyway. Getting something out of Kimmy. Kimmy is, I'm still suffering from. I've had two bloody interviews with Timmy, and with Kimmy, and they'll be, I'll never get those days back again because he is really a block of stone.
I told you, all you got to do is just ask him to shout you an ice cream, and you'll hit it off best of friends.
Well, that's it. Like I think I've said it a few times. We thought, I don't know whether it's a language thing or not, because he was talking. The last interview we did with him, he was talking to a Finnish camera crew. And he was laughing, and I didn't know what they were saying, but they were laughing, and they were all friendly. And it's like, oh, this is good. Kimmy's in a good mood today. And then it's like, and Kimmy, this is Brett Ramsey from local television in Pit Lane, Australia. Yeah. No.
You probably forgot to ask him how his time in the hot tub was on last weekend. That's probably what it needed to kick it off.
Well, I made the mistake of asking him the classic, do you enjoy coming down to Melbourne? And he said, no. It's just a track. Do you get to see much of the city? No.
Maybe he's a bit jet lagged.
Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't make it easy for you.
They were saying on the weekend that out of the car, it appears that once he's in the car, he's in another world. That's what he really loves doing, but he hates all the other stuff. And
there's lots of people like that. There's even some of the supercar guys. I mean, they would they don't want all the media stuff. It's like, that's why it's so hard to get a lot of them, for things like the show and all that, because I just say, I'll do what I have to do, but I'm not doing any more than that, because I do not want to, I'm not a head on a stick. I'm not Mr. Entertainment. I'm a racing driver. And unfortunately that's why they sort of, with the NASCAR drivers and particularly a lot of the American series, it's actually in the contract where it's like, you have to give over X number of hours per week to the media, and they will set like NASCAR. What they'll do is when they're going into a town, going into a track, what they will do is they will send out to all the local media about a week or so in advance, saying, "Hey, we're going to race at Bristol on Saturday night, and the drivers will be in from Tuesday. Here's a schedule when they're all available. Put in your request if you want them to come on your Tonight Show, if you want them to come on your radio show, if you want to do an interview with them for the local newspaper, whatever. Get in now and put your name down, and we'll make sure it happens." That's what supercars should be doing. They should, as we've seen 1,001 times, they'll come in and race at Sandown, and I'll be on the phone for 2 weeks saying, "Can we get anybody who's racing to come in to actually talk about and promote the meeting that you're running on that weekend?" And it's like, no, sorry, no one's available. And then you get people whinging, "Oh, the mainstream media doesn't cover it's they don't take any notice of us." Well, is it any wonder? And it's not just us. I mean, it's not just saying, I'm not going on that Poxy community television show. I know that there are major top rating radio shows, including 3AW Breakfast, which is the top rating breakfast show in Melbourne, where they haven't been able to get supercar drivers to come because what? Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go into the no, forget about that.
You can do it over the phone.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can do it over Zoom now.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is that that once we come out of this, it's going to be very hard when we're in our situation and anybody who's in a studio situation to try and get people. I mean, we could have been doing Zoom. I mean, we've got the Skype TX, the broadcast version of Skype is in at the studio, and there's 2 units in there, so we could just jump online to anybody in the world and do a very reliable and low latency and high quality Skype call with anybody. But that defeats the purpose of why we're going into the studio, because I can do that from here.
Exactly.
If we're going to have a great big studio, that's why we have the bands in. We've got a great big studio. We want to fill it with something.
And aren't they going to be busting the chops
speaking of
to
filling
get back
with-
on?
Stuart?
Speaking of filling things with poxy things, I think looking at the crash that Doc pointed out, there's probably a market to get in with foam boards and epoxy fillers and what have you. There seems to be a lot of that used to arrest the cars where they're stopping at that
I'll have to
Russian
look at
Grand
this
Prix.
now too.
It's like foam everywhere.
Yeah, that's got I forget what they call it. That's got a name for it. It was sort of like
Yeah,
their
it's not
version.
the same as the NASCAR safer
No,
barrier.
it's their version of the safer barrier. It's sort of the.
No,
I
but
think
it looks like it's all foam with a plastic cover over the top of it.
Yeah, that's what it. Whereas the safer barrier had a more. They've got
Yeah,
the
it was
wedges
tubes
foam,
of
but they-
aluminium and
yeah.
that compresses. Yeah.
So it compresses
it
and
looks
doesn't
like
make as
the-
much mess.
Well, yeah. Whereas this, it looks like the main cleanup tool for the safety crews is a blower or a vacuum of some sort.
Yeah, did its job though. I mean, neither of them
yeah.
of them were hurt, so that's the main thing. And they went in fair. They went in. Particularly one of the guys went in head first pretty hard. So and as long as nobody gets hurt, that's the main thing. I saw somebody posted me some footage. I was going to share it. I don't think I did. From a rally just recently in France. I don't know if you've seen it. A guy's gone straight on and basically taken to the air at the end of this and gone into this paddock. He talk about getting air. I mean, this is a crash and a half. But I don't. I think that's why I did, because I couldn't find out what the aftermath was. I mean, it looked like the structural integrity of the car looked like it stood up very well, but it was a huge crash.
Did you take any notes from the Ferrari on the weekend, Peter? The exposed nose that Seb Vettel decided he wanted to open up and give the world a look.
No.
I think
You
Seb's
didn't hear
enjoying himself at the moment. I think Seb is going, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm out here at the end of the year. What are they going to do, sack me?
Are you saying it was deliberate, him whacking the nose off and all the upgrades that everyone could have a look at?
I just don't think so. I just don't think Seb cares at the moment. I think he's just, he's not competitive. He's just sort of, filling up space. And I think all Seb's thinking about at the moment is, I just want to get this year over and done with so I can get behind the wheel of my newly purchased ex-Nigel Mansell Williams.
Checking out that crash as well, though, too. Bahrain's got a double header coming up as well, too. That's different track each week as well, too, guys, in the Formula One.
That second track's going to be really interesting. That's going to be the other thing that's interesting is I saw on the weekend. I don't know if anyone else saw. They had the TCR at or it might have been the GT World Challenge, but there was something at Zandvoort at the new. That's going to be scary when Formula One cars get there. That's going to be bloody scary because it was scary enough with touring cars. You've got these banked ovals, sort of, there's people flying onto the main straight at ridiculous speeds. It's it's going to be fun.
Zandvoort. I'm gonna have to look up the layout then.
Yeah, they just rebuilt it. They put in order to make it, to try and open it up because it's such a tight layout. they decided, well, why don't we just bank a couple of the corners NASCAR style, including the one onto the main straight. You don't notice it on the in-car stuff. You don't notice it, and then you have a look at it from the externals, and it's like, holy, they're going through there flat out, and these are TCR cars.
Bit of bike news over the weekend, guys. Ducati finally announced who their factory team riders are going to be, and therefore it sort of laid the cards out for who's going to be in the Pramac team, which obviously Jack Miller and Bagnaia have got the promotion, which they've basically been running almost factory spec bikes this year anyway, or they're getting most of the upgrades as quick as possible. So they're jumping up to actually the official bike with the red flavour all over it. But bit of a surprise pick for the two satellite spots. Johan Zarco is not the surprise. He's had good form and been in MotoGP and thereabouts for a while. But they're going with someone, a kid again, which is good to see. Bit of promotion of some young kids, not going for a Jorge Lorenzo or Rossi like they have in years gone by, but they're bringing them up for the ranks. A kid called by Jorge Martin, so we'll have to keep an eye out for him on a Ducati next year in the MotoGP, which is he's jumped straight from Moto3 up to MotoGP.
Yeah, that's a big jump. So obviously they've got a lot of faith in him, or he's son of rich father.
Yeah, so it's pretty much set now for the season next year. So if you're a bike fan or bike man like I am, half the time, jump on and have a look. You can look at the full thing. So I think it's no surprise. Good to see, even though he's people say give it away, Valentino. Mr. Rossi is going to go on for another season. He's going to be riding the satellite Yamaha, which they said they'll support him with a factory bike, as I've mentioned before. So
yeah, I'm just hoping he hasn't left this a year too long. He's got nothing. He's got nothing to prove. It'd be an absolute tragedy if he was to have a really bad accident and something happened to him. I mean, everyone would say, "Oh well, he did. He went doing something he loved, but he's got nothing left to prove. He's one of the greatest of all times. He can jump behind the wheel of a car at any stage that he wants, and because he obviously likes doing that as well. So, at his age, I mean, what have you got left to prove? I mean, I suppose if he gets up and wins the championship next year, you say, well, he proved he can still win a championship at his age. But I'm just keeping my fingers crossed.
He's inspiring to all the young riders, especially in the VR Academy. He's got a couple of them that he's riding alongside now, which is truly inspirational for those kids. But I don't know. The only thing I think that's left on the table to probably make a feat of is ride when you're 40 years of age. But Jesus, it's real, as you said, Brett, it's not worth it.
No, because especially when you think of all the people. I tell you what I did see, if you get an opportunity to catch up with it, was the Sky, and I think it's on KO that I saw it, but it might have been on YouTube, a documentary on Jochen Rindt. That's really good. There's quite a few good sort of sporting docos floating around at the moment, including just totally away from. Sorry.
They promoted on one of the Grand Prix coverages, and I haven't got around to watching it yet.
Yeah, that's where it was. That's why I think I saw it on Sky, on KO. So yes, it was a Sky one.
Don't forget Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on over in South Australia, the Bay of Burwood.
Yeah, also on Channel 31 Melbourne, they're running that. They ran it last week. They did a live stream in Adelaide of the Bay to Birdwood, which is a big sort of classic car run up to the Burwood Motoring Museum, just up in the Adelaide Hills. So they ran that, and it was very popular. But there was a lot of criticism, in fact, that they spent too much time talking to people and not enough time looking at cars. So they've actually, to their credit, they've gone out and they've recut it and taken out, and so they put more car footage in, and then they're going to basically show it. And also they had like a few technical difficulties on the weekend. on the weekend as well. But so Beta Birdwood will be on both Channel 44 Adelaide and Channel 31 Melbourne this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and a lot of beautiful cars there. And as I said, this time they've just said, we're going to concentrate more on the cars and less on the people. So we could have told them that for the start. If you've got all those cars there, people aren't tuning in to listen to the people who are driving them. They want to see the cars.
Right, shiny lights.
Yep, that's what you want. You want lots of chrome and lots of rubber and lots of action. But anyway,
action.
we might dry it up at that point. Now, remember, if you're watching at home and you'd like to join the panel and you'd like to come on and join Chris and Pete and Stuart and Doc and myself, we don't want to make it too big, but we'd love to have you on. We'd love to have you on board. All you've got to do is just check out. There's a link below on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, and just go to Jot Form, fill out the form, and we'll send you an invite. And you've got to sort of join about half an hour beforehand, just so we can so check out who you are and try and solve any technical problems that we might have with your sound or your lighting or any of things like that. As you can see, you don't need. We're not asking for too high a standard, but as long as you've got pretty good sound and a reasonable vision, we'll bring you onto the panel and you can have a chat as well, because that's all this is about. It's just some people getting together on a Thursday night and having a bit of a chat during the lockdown. So thanks so if you're watching, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Thanks for jumping up before you all go. Chris, what are your plans for the week?
Oh, not much. I think I'll be doing some chemo next week.
Yes, well, that's sort of taking up a bit of time. It's all different medical problems. So good luck with that. Hopefully it's not too bad. So good luck with that. Pete,
Okay.
What about you?
Not much. Just shopping for the essentials and the German Grand Prix at the weekend.
Oh, that's this week. This weekend, is it?
Yes, yeah.
I thought we had another break again. Okay, that's it. Oh no, of course not. Yeah. What are we talking about? Yeah, because they're testing. Yeah, so there's that. Also coming up this week, there's the next round of Super GT. I think that's at Fuji. That'll be on the In Pit Lane website. That's being broadcast on the weekend. So so if you're into Super GT, and they're great cars and been some really interesting racing, that'll be on the weekend as well. And there's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff all over the place. Stuart, what are your plans?
I think I'll be taking some seasick medication after watching a video on YouTube called First Full Lap at Dutch GP Track Circuit Zandvoort 2020. That is a real roller coaster road.
Isn't it?
That is up and down everywhere. But beyond that, I don't know, maybe find a Chrysler to work on, do something like that. Nothing.
I just thought because you had your sailor's top
Although-
on tonight, Stuart.
Well, I've went for the James May look. So, but the other thing would be to let any racing driver who wants to be on the show at all know that we can actually do lighting and sound for them and get them to look professional. So for all of their broadcast needs, we're here to help.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. There's a lot of very dodgy Zoom interviews going out at the moment with a whole bunch of people. So it's one of the things that we've been talking about in other forums. Stuart and myself and a lot of other people when we get together on office hours on every of a night time, and Stuart's on the panel there, and I sort of lurk in the background and ask questions occasionally. But the thing is, in America, it's become this: if you're going to be on Zoom, if you're going to present yourself in a live situation, you want to look look and sound as good as you can. And if you don't know how to do it, it doesn't cost a fortune. It just means sort of trying to get your levels right for your cameras and getting your lights done and getting your sound done. So these are things that we can certainly help you out on. So if you're interested, if you're running a business and you want us to sort of put together a kit for you so that we and show you how to use it and set it up online. safely. And if we can do that, that's sort of, that's what we're trained to do. That's what that's actually what we do for a living. So if you want to get involved in that, by all means, do that. We're happy to help. Doc, what are your plans? You're still working, but you've bought yourself a new toy. Tell everyone about the new toy, or do you want to?
Oh, just before I do, I will tell you what I won't be doing. I just noticed tonight on the Facebook page that I think we might have been hacked. I thought everyone, even Russia and China, were really busy at the moment on the US presidential campaign and trying to disrupt the process as much as possible. But I think we usually get a massive amount of likes each week, but I think we got a couple of extra 100 likes for the full course yellow promo on
yes, I saw that.
Facebook tonight.
I saw that last night. I got a message saying, before we'd even gone to air, it said, you have 73 likes or something, and it's like, wow, that's. I've gone there, and nearly more than half of them are in Chinese.
I was going to say, have you respectfully sent them all individually big thank yous back with long written essays with an appreciation, Brett? Because that's how we do things at In Pit Lane. We like that personal touch we give to everybody, don't we, Brett?
Yes, I'm prepared. That's what I'll be doing on the weekend, is sending personal thank you notes to the entire population of Sichuan, or wherever the hell these things are coming from. But if you're watching from Sichuan or anywhere else in the People's Republic, thank you.
We can be bought cheaply.
It would let us know, especially in.
We would love to come and cover motorsport and motor shows.
I heard it's all expenses paid when they get you to do it too. So we'll come and do it for you, and you can pay for everything. We'll let you do it.
Remember, we've done it. we did it. I mean, that was all those years ago at Inner Mongolia. But that was all. That was a very nice gig to get. Someone rings you on Monday and says, "Hey, what are you doing on the weekend? Would you like to come and fill the Audi R8 LMS Cup at Inner Mongolia?" And of course we'll pay you. It's like, well, we're there.
Yes, very good. Yeah, no, I got a new toy, Brett. Just I picked up an old 1970s classic and something I've always wanted.
Leyland Marina.
Oh, damn it! You beat me to.
Well, that's a classic from the 70s.
What's wrong with the P76?
They're worth money now. Those
Really?
Yeah,
they're getting rare.
No, guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to. Really, the truth is, I finally got my larder.
Well, yeah. Oh, did you get
Is
a
it
Brock
a Brock
larder?
Edition larder?
Yeah, the Brock Edition larder.
The Brock Edition.
No, it's a thing. Trust us, it is a thing. So look for it. Google it. The Brock
And it has
larder.
got, but it didn't come with the polarizer, so I'm very disappointed.
I'm not sure about that. It might have. Because Pete never walked away from that. The last time we spoke to him just before he died, he did say in interviews, he said, I'm not saying that it worked. As he said, I just felt it was a better car when it had it in, but it was one thing that couldn't be. But he didn't write it off. He never wrote it off. He was genuinely of the belief that the car ran better when it had the polarizer in or on it. So, whatever.
Well, I've got a theory.
Was
I've
that
got a
the
theory.
400?
I'm going to get the larder and I'm going to take out the polarizer and I'm going to put a flux capacitor in it instead and see if it'll take me forward or back in time.
Hook up the flux capacitor to the polarizer.
I think the secret of the polarizer is it weighed 400 kilos and it sat straight over the back axle.
Yes, that could have been the reason. But he was never. He believed he always had an open mind on things, and he was sort of saying that as far as he was concerned, he drove the car without it, and then they put it in. He drove it with the car, and he always said, in his opinion, he thought it was a smoother, better car with the polarizer in than it was with the polarizer out. So that's why they put it in. But quite obviously, they couldn't prove that at any stage, and Holden quite rightly went, no. So
What
I
I
went to a
heard is
literary,
the engine
with
couldn't measure anything.
Bev Brock wrote the book, wrote his biography, and they asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, it was before its time." So he never, yeah.
And we'll just throw fuel onto the fire and just remind people that that's not the reason why there was a break with Holden. You should have a look for the Holden Monza.
Oh yeah, the Opel Monza.
Monza.
That was
Peter Brock Monza.
Yeah, he put his name to a few things over the years, Brock. He was, but anyway, I mean, he was one hell of a driver and one hell of a good bloke, and we were very fond of him on the show. He was a great supporter of us over the years.
Put some kerosene on top of your little fuel bit there, Stuart. Was also with Dick Johnson driving the same vehicle that had a Motorcraft sponsorship on a Holden.
What was that? Whereabouts was that?
So have a look at some of the shots. Look up the Monza. Did you see it too, Stuart? Did you? I see you nodding. So
I've seen a few little shots of it. Yes.
And on the front guard, just in front of the front wheel arch and the front wheel, if you look on some of the pictures that were over the years, at the time I think was it Grice. Johnson,
you're talking about the sports sedan, the Bob Jones. That's
the Chevy Monza,
Chevy Monza, yeah, that's Bob. That was Bob's car. That's why I was saying online the other night that unfortunately, because what happened is Brian Thompson bought the car, and because there was a change in the rules for sports sedans, particularly in terms of aerodynamics, he decided to take the Monza body off of it and turn it into the Supra. So it ran as the Supra, and then Des Wall bought it later, and then it was restored by Des's son, but he restored it back to the form that his old man drove, because he said, well, that was the car I grew up with, that was the car my dad there. So he wanted, so for his purposes, he wanted to keep it as a Supra. Whereas if you have a look at it, if they could turn it back into the Monza, when you have a look at the people who drove that car, I mean, obviously Bob drove it, but Brock drove it, Alan Jones, Dick Johnson, Alan Grice, I think John Bow drove it as well, Brad Jones, a lot of people drove it. It's a very, very famous car, and it was years ahead of its time. It was a beautifully constructed. I think John Shepherd and Pat Purcell and Miles Johnson were all involved in that. And if you have a look at it, it was the most advanced Monza in the world at the time it was running. What he was doing with things like even just the aerodynamics of taking, if you have a close look at it, the windscreen doesn't meet up with the A-pillars. It actually goes behind the A-pillars and swings around smoothly with the side windows. So it's a nice smooth, so there's no turbulence around there. And you can't, unless you have a really close look at it, you don't know that it did that and that it was there. And it was such a lovely, lovely car, and I'd love to see them rebuild it to that specs. And I don't know what happened to the original panels. I don't know whether Tomo still has them or whether they unfortunately went to the tip along with the Volkswagen Chev or something. I don't know, but I'd love to. I would really, as much as I know it means a lot to David Wall and like to have it in the form that his dad raced it in. For the bigger picture, I'd really, really like to see that car restored to its original Bob Jones Monza specs.
That's what I said with the Motorcraft on the front quarter. When Dick Johnson was driving a Holden.
Yeah, well, he drove that. They drove that in the World Endurance Championship round at Sandown, because they had that World Endurance and they had a special Australian Invitational class, and that's where that car ran, along with things like the Kaditcha and the Vescander and a few other cars. The BMW Turbo, Jim Richards and I forget who was driving with him. But yeah, the BMW Turbo sports sedan, a couple of sports sedans ran as well in that first race, just to make up the numbers and to give a bit of local interest. But he was doing quite well. I mean, it wasn't up to the same sort of spec as the Group C cars, but it was one hell of a car.
It was a
Okay, guys,
missile.
I think that's we've now been that's our hour. So let's take let's say goodbye
Yeah, wind
to
it up. Yeah,
everybody. We'll see you.
yeah.
Yep, we will see you next week on around the same time on the YouTube channel here for Full Course Yellow. And as I said, if you want to join us, get in touch with us, and we'll send you an invite, and you can jump on and have a chat to us as well. Okay, we will see you. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week on Full Course Yellow. But from all of us, it's bye for now.